Hi, everyone. I'm here this evening to present the Monroe County Community Climate Action Fund Pilot Program grant opportunity. The purpose of this grant is to provide Monroe County municipalities funding for greenhouse gas emission reduction projects. There are 6 categories, and they are transportation, building and housing, energy use and consumption, land and water resources, partnerships, education and economy, and sustainable materials management. Some quick facts about this grant. The total funding available for this program is $200,000. The maximum award is $10,000 for single program. If we partnered with someone, we could go up to $15,000. The grant team consists of town staff, members of Conservation Board, and Color Webster Green. The grant application is due July 8th. With that, I want to address that this grant doesn't follow our preferred planning and presentation schedule. The reason being is that after first learning of this program, the due date didn't align with any of our upcoming board meetings and required too quick of a turnaround between announcement and application. So we decided to pass. However, to our surprise, the application deadline was extended. This is why I'm here today on short notice and with a tight decision timeline. With that being explained, I'll continue. This grant has a minimum match of 50%. However, there's an opportunity to gain extra points on our application if we overmatch. If approved to apply, I would ask for the board's permission to overmatch to get the extra points as outlined in the graphic. The project selected is to replace town-owned, maintained grassy areas in the right-of-way with low, no-mow native plantings. This project was selected as residents have called into town to express their dissatisfaction with the aesthetics of these areas. Unfortunately, the highway department is only able to mow these areas twice per year for safety due to budget and available manpower. So when this opportunity arose, it felt timely. The benefits of this project are many, but 3 I'd like to highlight are budget savings of $2,000 per year through fuel and staff time savings, environmental benefits of reduction in carbon emissions for mowing and support of the local ecosystem, and also aesthetic appeal. The areas identified for this project will have a little burst of color while also maintaining visibility due to the low height of the plantings. The 7 areas listed on the slide have been suggested by Pat Stevens, Highway Superintendent, as the areas to start. This totals roughly 3.4 acres. In preparation of this project, we reached out to Color Webster Green to ask for their assistance in identifying appropriate plantings for this project. Some low-growing natives suggested are, and I'm using their common names, little blue stem, wild petunia, plantain pussy toes, dwarf cinquefoil, and three-toothed cinquefoil. Color Webster Green have been extremely helpful in gathering this information for us in a short period of time. And I look forward to working with them if we're permitted to apply for the grant and are awarded. So the next steps are the town board will need to vote yes for the resolution to authorize submission of the Monroe County Community Climate Action Program pilot grant application during the town board meeting following this workshop. The town board will need to determine the grant match, and once determined and approved, we can finalize the application and submit by the July 8th deadline. Any questions?
Thank you, Maria.
Have you, well, clearly you've worked with Pat on this. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would much rather see these flowers in there in those dividing areas than the grass. And I understand Pat doesn't want to have to, My question is, what is the estimated cost overall that you were provided from Pat to prepare it? Because you're just not going to throw seeds down and it's going to work. Someone's going to have to dig it up, put some soil down, do the planting, do the watering.
With the initial estimates that we received from Pat, that was just for his team's time and effort. was going to be about, it's about $3,900 for 2 days worth of work.
Okay, and you can cover all 7 areas.
We should be able to, and then we're still in the, because of the extremely tight timeline that I had described, I'm coming to you with a formulated plan, but not all the details yet. I don't have the budget ready to submit with the application yet. We're still working on pricing out the plantings. Planned on also reaching out to Friends of Webster Trails to talk to them about maybe some volunteer days to help with the plantings. There still needs to be a bit more of a formulated work plan, which will be ready when I submit the grant.
And I presume we're purchasing plants and not planting seeds. We're
Correct.
planting full plants, which are not inexpensive.
No,
So if I look at this, the grant is $10,000. Is it $10,000 for the whole thing or $10,000 for each of the 7 areas?
the entire project, we would get $10,000 grant, and then we'd have our 50% requirement of a local match, unless the board decides to go higher than that.
Do you have a recommended match?
I would recommend going to the 75%, so the 25% over. That would get us, sorry, I don't want to guess. We did the 75, it would get us 2 extra points in our application. If we matched at 100%, which would be a 50% over match, that would get us 3 extra points. So I would suggest somewhere between that range. We also, Councilman Wright, we also don't have to do all 7 areas. Those are just 7 areas that Pat had identified as good start.
Yeah.
So us pricing out the planning and making sure that we're within whatever our budget is we have to follow that budget.
Okay.
We don't know what the
Yeah,
budget
so the
is.
cost would be.
No, I don't know what the budget is until it's determined what the match is. And if we don't get the grant, then we can't do the project anyway. So
All right, I'm just a little confused here. We won't know what the budget is until the grant.
We set the budget right now.
Don't we put the budget together, what it's gonna cost, and then we know,
I put the budget together with
Yep.
the help of the group that is identified to create the task team, if you will.
okay?
We price things out. Everyone has a job of getting certain things priced out, and we bring it all together, calculating the labor, materials. That has to go into our budget application. It's part of the application to show and budget line items. Like we
Gotcha.
have to stick to that. So it all
So you
has
have
to
that
be.
number, right?
I don't have the number today because we just decided to do this last Wednesday.
And
We
it's
have
a
a
little
bu-
bit contingent on what match if we are
Correct.
approving, which is gonna generate the budget. So
Because
if
I
we
also
match it 75%,
Yes.
meaning we would then approve 7,500 to be used towards this project.
Correct. Because I have
that
to
would be the
include that
budget.
into our budget, the match.
So is the default match 10 though? Because it's a $10,000 grant, or is the default match 5,000? and we go
5,000.
from there?
Yep.
So we're looking at what, maybe 15,000 and the low end to 20?
Mhm.
Is that kind of the
No, we
Yep.
we drive that.
somewhere
so
in
the
the
numbers
range?
are created off of what we're allotting. So we're not going to drive a budget that's if we say 7,500, they're not going to create a budget over the 17.
Correct.
That
It has
that
to
would
be accounted for and it has to stick to the budget that is agreed upon. I have to include the resolution in our application showing that
Okay.
the town board has agreed.
Gotcha. So you then, all right, we're not gonna spend over that
No.
specific amount, no matter what.
No.
Okay. I just like the numbers ahead of time, that's all.
And-
Yeah, I mean,
So we're-
once the application is ready, I can share with you the budget that we're submitting to the state.
My
Or the
only
county, I'm
concern
sorry.
is say the cost is very high or it's cost prohibitive and we get to the point where we're saying, well, you know what, that's a little bit too much, more than we have an appetite to spend, and then you have to give the grant back. So it never looks good when you give a grant back. And I don't know, if it's $10,000, then the match is $5,000, saves $2,000 a year. I don't, there's still going to be a maintenance cost for some of those plants to keep them alive. So I don't know. I
For the
just
first-
don't know the math, that the math works.
From my understanding, for the first year, the plants do take a little extra TLC. Once they're established, they're natives. They create their own ecosystem and they adapt to the soil. They get watered when it rains. So after that first year, it's not anything that's going to cut into the budget or take time away from staff watering plants.
And then you said we learned about this, you said like what, last week?
Last week, we found out about
The extension?
extension.
Did we consider other uses of this money besides the plants? Or was the plants always our top
Because
thing, or just?
because I also work with code enforcement, I receive a lot of the phone calls from residents with their questions, their
Concerns?
thank you, and also their areas of dissatisfaction. And the one that is quite frequently at this time of year is the mowing. Some residents have taken it upon themselves to mow these easement areas to keep it lawn length. But Pat's team, they can only mow it for safety reasons. So for visibility, if it gets above 12 inches, that's when they'll mow it, but they can't go out every 2 weeks and mow. So those residents are not satisfied with the view that they're seeing. So that's why when this opportunity came up, and that was one of the projects that would satisfy the grant and also satisfy the residents, we all agreed that that was a good pilot program.
And what neighborhood was that, or which one on the list was that?
Of where they're complaining,
Yeah.
I would have to look in the log, and I don't have that information on me.
Was there a number 2 project that we were considering? I'm just curious.
No,
Okay.
no one else came up. We didn't come up with a different idea.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is just hard because it's just very like rushed and last minute, and
Yeah.
we're all kind of learning this as of today on
Mm-hmm.
the fly.
In reference, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's like the 5th time I've done that to you tonight. I apologize. To Jennifer's point with respect to, and your input too, regarding the significance of keeping these things watered during the first year, because I totally agree with you. I have flowers that come up in my yard every year, same place, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you emphasize the importance of watering. Have you had a discussion with Pat as to how they're going to be watered so they don't die in the first year?
We have not had that discussion yet.
Okay.
It's part of the work plan that we would be ironing out before we submitted the grant application.
Because I don't even know if he has the equipment to do that. So,
And then like a plant question as a mother that's an avid gardener and things grow. Are these going to grow out of control and we need to like help keep them above? Like is 12 inches a problem for plants as well if these plants get above?
These plants are selected for the height that they grow.
Okay, so they're
So
all,
their max height is below what we need to keep it at.
okay. And that's always a good thing.
Yeah.